Hello, class. Welcome to Team 4's first case presentation. We'll be presenting the following case, ICA Changing the Supermarket Business One Screen at a Time. My name is Saul Trujillo. This case will also be presented by my colleagues, Sophia, Ruben, and Yu Ting. Going over the agenda of this presentation, we will start off introducing our main goal regarding this case. We will then transition to our SWOT analysis, which will be presented by Yu Ting and myself. Next would be our pest analysis, which would be presented by Ruben and Sophia. We will then move on to our key issues regarding sales impact due to monitor strategy, survey flaws, and target market. We will finalize our presentation by providing recommendations for each key issue.
In the introduction, we'll answer the main question: should ICA implement monitors in all of its stores? Those stores include a convenience store, a supermarket, a superstore, and a hypermarket. These range from grocery stores to all the way to selling clothing and a whole array of products. So they really cover the whole market within these 4 different kinds of stores.
Hi everyone, it's a SWOT analysis, and I will be present the strength and the weakness. And the strength is ICA is a large profitable rental groups, and its stores to monitor the market holding a 36.7% showing in Sweden. And then the visitor company with many different types of store. They have many different types of store. And the weakness information about the long-term result of digital signage is unavailable, and they need to spend a lot of money to keep the technology if they want to do the digital signage.
The opportunities that can be identified for ICA would be to focus on trends, including an interest in health, environmental awareness, and a focus on convenience. These can be shown if ICA implements inspirational content on the monitors in order for their target market customers to spend more. Another opportunity would be for the profit increasing with digital signage by allowing ICA to send multiple advertising messages to its customers, all while cutting back on printing costs. Another opportunity that can also be identified would be the demand of the end-of-the-aisle brands or private labels to increase due to the sales increase of the brands next to the digital sign. ICA also has threats that could harm the company. These threats include the drop of sales in the smaller stores, even though consumers appreciated the store more with the monitors present. Another threat would be that customers that shopped in larger stores indicated that they're experiencing more negative. They reported they had less interest in returning to the store. They did not want to approach the sales staff or even explore the store. By not satisfying the customers, this can lead to a potential harm to the company.
Now we will look at the pest analysis. For the political analysis, there was not specific information in the case regarding this aspect, but we decided to think about a possible difficulty that could happen, even though it wasn't laid out in this case. So what we have seen before in America and different places is when 2 countries may not agree on something, if they're receiving raw materials from that country, it presents an issue of how you're going to get the materials for the product. So we thought possibly if they were ever unable to get the materials for this digital signage, or if they didn't have the technology they needed to keep the signage up to date, it would present a problem with this implementing digital signage in their stores. It's not an issue right now for them, but it could be an issue they come across in the future. So they would have to make sure that they have all the materials very available to continue to produce this technology for their stores. For the economic aspect, they said that in 2012, regardless of economic concerns, they were still able to outperform the market as a whole. We feel that the way they have positioned themselves by not just sticking with one type of store, such as a grocery store or a convenience store, but they have the whole array of products throughout different kinds of markets, they've been able to position themselves to be successful even when there may be an economic downturn, because they sell items that most people need, and it's not a luxury good or a want, it's things that people can mainly not live without. They will be successful even through times of economic stress.
And now for the social cultural part of pest, we acknowledge popular European market trends that can affect what customers expect from ICA stores. The market saw an increased interest in health, environmental awareness, and a strong focus on convenience. These trends can also lead to a change in the content ICA TV produces and shows on their digital store signage. Without acknowledging these social cultural trends and make changes that suit them, ICA could potentially lose the attention of shoppers. So now for the technology part of pest, I will talk about the signage itself. At the time, the digital signage was proving to be a fast-growing industry, and by 2012, it brought in $12.8 billion. The digital signage is a modernized way of communicating with customers and feeding them the information they need to have a pleasant and informative experience. In this instance, the signage is already being used and tested by ICA to determine if customers prefer it or not.
Welcome to the key issue part. Sales, in fact, do the masters. The digital signage had a negative impact on consumers' immersion, but have a positive effect on sales and consumer behavior. Below is the number from the article. It shows that increase and the consumers spend more money on it. And end of aisle displays increase sales for 70 project categories. Okay, so it will be continued. The sales went up of promotion message and done with the ambulance improving image in the larger stores. Sales went up when screens were turned on. Sales increased due to the price bias design with the installations. The sales decrease was the digital signs in the smaller stores. Large stores signs help sales. Consumers like skins in smaller stores and didn't like them in the larger stores.
Now we'll take a look at the monitor strategy. So how did they actually use this digital signage strategically to implement in their stores and either help sales or help consumers? So the first test that they did was different visuals. So they categorized this into 3 sections. This is active, passive, and interactive. Active addresses call to action, passive addresses enhancing the atmosphere, and interactive is a mix of both. So active would be mostly more informational. Passive is going to be things that are going to probably increase the mood of people, make them happy, and feel more comfortable in the shopping experience. What came out of this was that customers stayed in the store longer and did buy more, but they were dissatisfied and didn't seem to be as happy with the experience. In the second test, we see that they tried out 2 different types of programming. The first would be inspiration that showed photos, recipes, and tips to help ambiance. The second would be B price, which is informational, describes prices, loyalty cards, deals, etc. Much more practical for the average shopper and probably gets to the point more than the inspiration does. In Exhibit 5, we see that the B price almost takes all the categories, and people really find more of a liking to being able to have that information readily accessible versus seeing photos or recipes or things that really might not be that valuable to them in that moment while they're shopping. They discussed that if the dissatisfaction was in the screen itself, then the content wouldn't really matter. But it seems like because people did feel strongly one way or another, that it wasn't so much that they disliked the screen, it was the content that they were showing. And in the third test, they tried the smaller store test, which Zoe briefly mentioned previously. So basically what happened with that test were the positive attitudes increased, but sales decreased when they implemented this digital signage within their smaller locations. We found that it was more of an inverse relationship between customer attitude and sales, where in the larger stores, sales were going up, but people were not as happy.
Hello, class. So for the third issue, I will talk about the flaws of surveying. While analyzing this case, we asked ourselves whether we trust the data gathered from these surveys. ICA conducted experiments and based some of their findings on surveys. What we do not know is that if customers were aware that they're being monitored. Surveys can be an inaccurate method of gathering data due to the many factors at play. If people know they're being monitored, they will behave differently than if they did not know. The case states that ICA had many people in the stores watching customers' reactions to the signage during the experiments. People typically react to surveys in a way they wish to be portrayed rather than give an honest answer. People feel the need to lie during a survey. Also, the way a question is asked or written can invoke an emotional response, such as in the question, today I am forced to be in this store.
The key issue number 4 is regarding the target market. And the key issue that would be for the ICA should find its target market is with millennials that choose to shop at their stores. They understand that technology is being implemented into our daily lives. The key issue with older generation would be that the monitors would overstimulate them, which could make the customers not return to the store in the future. Another issue would be to find a way to appeal to every customer that enters the store. Each customer should be considered as the ICA's target market.
For recommendations, our ultimate conclusion to the first question was, due to our previous analysis, we do not believe that ICA should implement digital signage in all of their stores. But in the following slides, we have provided further recommendations for each key problem that we do feel like could help implement them in the stores that they do choose. So because the digital strategy of the signage and sales go hand in hand, we decided to join these recommendations together. First, we thought that coming up with new ideas for this signage would help bring in more customers and feel welcomed, ultimately improving sales. An idea we thought of was when they type their membership card number onto the digital signage, they can get information about purchase history and their membership information. This is similar to when you go to Vons or Ralph's or many of the common grocery stores and you put in your phone number before you check out. You can get points for those purchases. Sometimes that relates to gas. In some stores, you are able to get discounts on products. It all varies based on the location. So we felt like if we could capitalize on that idea and make it so that people were getting more out of the digital signage than just information, they would be more motivated to come in. So furthermore, on that point, if we installed more of the digital signage into larger stores with the promotional messages that they were referring to instead of the inspirational messages, the sales would also increase because it seemed like in the smaller stores, it just wasn't a positive addition. We figure that if we focus on sales, that could be the main motivation, and then we can always improve the feeling of customer satisfaction later. But if sales are doing well, that's going to help the company right now and probably for the future.
Recommendation number 4 would be allow the digital signage to have audio and a bigger font option. By having audio and a bigger font option, the old generation would be able to read and hear the information being provided by the monitor.
Thank you for your time. We look forward to answering your questions and reading all your feedback.